Hello again. I'm Carolyn Mahoney, the president here at Lincoln University, and I'm delighted to welcome you back to our show from the president's desk. I'm sitting today with Missy Bonnot, who is the director of economic development with the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce, and we're having a delightful time discussing the strategic plan, the economic development strategic plan rollout that is an activity underway mainly through the impetus of the Jefferson City Chamber. It's called Transformation, and I think that aptly describes the nature of the activity that so many of us and members of the community are enthusiastically involved in. And so we were talking about, we started talking in general about what the transformation activity was about, but we had quickly moved to focus on what's going on in the action team that's devoted to Lincoln University. And so why don't you briefly cover the two that we talked about, and we can elaborate on them and then move to the other two.
Okay, the Lincoln University Village, which I think is going to be a very exciting concept to look at housing and retailers and restaurants in close proximity to Lincoln University campus. And then we also have the Lincoln Campus Annex at St. Mary's redevelopment, which I'm really excited about. We will have 375,000 square feet available once St. Mary's moves to their new $200 million new hospital on 179 in about 4 years. And so what are we going to do with that 375,000 square feet for redevelopment? We have a lot of great ideas, and actually we have one whole action team focused just on St. Mary's redevelopment. But within that, we think that it would be a great idea to have some programs, have a Lincoln University Annex at St. Mary's. And so what are those programs going to be? We're going through that process right now with Lincoln University staff that sit on our subcommittee, which we are so delighted to have helping us identify those programs, which would be a very good fit at the St. Mary's redevelopment.
And I think not only are faculty and staff excited, but at Lincoln we have students who are involved as well, and they're excited about the Lincoln University Village concept, and I think are providing good input. But I concur with you as well that we have just stellar faculty and staff members who are active on the Lincoln University action team devoted to the annex at St. Mary's.
And I can tell you, through this process, we had a focus group at Lincoln University with the Student Government Association.
Neat.
And I can tell you, out of about 30 plus focus groups, I would say that was one of the best ones that we had.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. That's
Students
great
were
news.
very energetic and very candid and full of ideas, and we really need to harvest their ideas as we go forward.
I think they fit well. They're active in the Chamber Young Professionals group as well, and so I think that's having some influence on them and helping them to mature and grow. And so there is a sort of win-win for everybody throughout this activity. There's lots of value-added benefit, I think, that's being realized. But we want to, before we run out of time, talk a bit more about the possibility of Lincoln University occupying some of that 375,000 square feet of space. Of course, there will be, likely will be other entities in the community that will take over some of that space. I'm hearing about some of them and pretty excited about most of them. So, so that's delightful to know. But because of course it would be a shame to have a property like that that's available to see from the freeway as you drive into town not be used. It would be really a sad thing if it were a blighted property or taken over in some undesirable way that wouldn't contribute to the economic growth of the community. So I think it's critically important, this activity that we're undertaking, to try to do something that would make sure that space is used in a way that will stimulate economic growth in this area.
And we want to attract more individuals to Jefferson City, young professionals, create a critical mass that, that folks want to come to Jefferson City either for programs, education, or for jobs. And so I think that St. Mary's could be that magnet that would draw people to our community.
And I concur, and so as I'm out in this community, interacting with young persons, they have some good ideas about what could take place over there, and they're very supportive from my perspective of the ideas that have been put forward in this sort of pot that's called Lincoln University, if you will. And I think among those programs, the first one would be our nursing program. It's a well-regarded, well-respected program. It seems natural that it would could relocate to that site, given that it's a medical facility already. We have at Lincoln a very strong history of collaborating with St. Mary's, with Capital Region too, but in this particular instance with St. Mary's. For example, we took over their surgical technology program. They had a certificate program that operated for some number of years, and we were pleased when they came and asked us to help them make sure that those young persons getting that training would get academic credit and could for that program. And so we now have opened up a surgical technology program here on campus and already have students enrolled, and they're already winning prizes as they go to their annual meetings. It's really quite a nice thing to behold. And so certainly we would think about relocating and therefore possibly being able to expand our very fine nursing program. I think we're also thinking about once we have nursing, then there are allied technology programs that we could consider moving there, the surgical technology program, for example, but there are others we could form that are in the planning stages. If you're thinking about technology these days, you naturally turn your thoughts to medical information technology, and I think there is some activity about that underway in collaboration with St. Mary's, and so we would hope that we could put a medical information technology program or concentration in a master's program there or somewhere. And so those are some of the things that the ideas that are percolating, I think, to the top of what we're going to propose for that. And the team of people we have representing us include our Director of Design and Construction, who can help us with the square footage and outline what those space requirements would be. And then, of course, our Academic Vice President, our head librarian, who talks about the resources that could be there to support all of these programs that we're talking about. And the head of our nursing program, of course. So I think we're well, as you have said already, well represented on that committee with great enthusiasm, and they, of course, always come back to campus and meet with me so that I am well informed and we can move forward, I think, in the most appropriate way. They
have been a great asset. The head of nursing, I am amazed of all the things that are going on in the nursing program alone at Lincoln University, from the mannequins to how, you know, they're like real people, and how you can hook them up to different machines and they can tell you, you know, different things that are going on with this mannequin, and how expensive the mannequins are to purchase. And if there's a collaborative idea that we can utilize and bring in Capital Region and bring in St. Mary's to benefit from the mannequins, I think that's a phenomenal idea.
I think so. It's just a great community, and there's already such good collaboration, good cooperation that we can build on.
Right.
It's a real lovely foundation for this work. And so that's the nursing program. But once you get into medical information technology that may take advantage of programs that are offered in our computer science program, then you have computer science as a presence out there. And so you may want to relocate some of the computer science research programs that we're doing. So we hope to do that. Once you get into allied health, people become aware that we're doing some research on using nanotechnology in biomedicine, also bioterrorism, but in this instance, biomedicine. And so now you're talking about strong nanotechnology research programs, and we do quite a bit of nanotechnology predicated research for the military that benefits the military. Bioterrorism, we look at detection of bombs and IEDs. We look at multi-threat detection. And so all of these programs we have that keep our soldiers safe are looking for a better home than we can provide on campus, because we are somewhat space impacted. And so the thought about that we might be able to relocate some of those programs out there, I think, is a very, very exciting one for the campus as well. And so you have quite an array of ideas for programs that could easily relocate to the St. Mary's site.
Well, the wonderful thing about St. Mary's, you know, we do have a parking challenge in Jefferson City, but they do a wonderful parking structure that it would be very easy for students and faculty to be able to go between the two campuses because of the ease of parking at the St. Mary's redevelopment.
I think that's more than a trivial consideration. It's really quite a significant thing to think about. In addition, we're trying to frame this so that the students won't have to do a whole lot of shuffling back and forth. We're mindful of the fuel costs and want to proceed in a manner that is sort of as green as is possible. And so are talking about programs like nursing that you can get your lower division general education either on campus or online, but then do your upper division work there and not have to run back and forth or shuttle back and forth as much, so very much. So one of the things I like about beginning the planning this early, this well in advance of 2015 in January when that site may become available, the earliest date that that site may become available, then you have time to anticipate all of the things you need to put in place. So we don't have, for example, our entire general education curriculum online, but knowing that that's a desirable outcome or a desirable thing to have in place by the time we put these programs off-site, then we can work toward that, and we have ample time to do so.
Right, and I think that's a key element is we aren't rushed.
That's right.
We can make sure that it is the perfect plan. And as the St. Mary's Redevelopment Group likes to say, they are planning the plan, which, you know, sometimes you don't have that extensive time to really focus on what is a really, really good fit, and time is on our side.
Time is really on our side, and I just can't underscore enough how wise I think that was of the Chamber to move in this direction at this time. Speaking of time, why don't we move on to briefly mention other activities that are encompassed by the LU Action Team.
Okay, we have our third subcommittee, which is the collaboration with LU, MU, and Lynn State Technical College. Jefferson City is blessed with a lot of educational facilities within very close proximity. We have wonderful Lynn State Technical College just 20 miles down the road. MU to our north, which is 30 miles down the road, and if there's any collaborative efforts that the three of us can get together and identify things that we aren't currently doing, but bringing those resources together to make all of us stronger, I think is very important.
I think that's, I couldn't agree with you more, sorry. The ways in which we'll be focusing that activity is on things that will contribute to the economic vitality of this area. This is our capital city after all, and there are being discussed some very exciting possibilities, so I'm looking forward to that. And then the final one is? The
final one is Lincoln University alumni and community awareness.
Oh, terrific.
And which is a little surprising to me, the fact that I went to Lincoln University. There are a lot of individuals in Jefferson City that don't know a lot about Lincoln University. For example, one of our young professionals on this action team didn't know about the nationally known track team that you have at Lincoln University and how many awards and accomplishments the track team has had. That surprised me. So things like that, we are wanting to engage the community and Lincoln University and have a stronger relationship between the two, and maybe holding some barbecues or holding some events at Lincoln University and inviting the community to is just some of the ideas that are being created.
And speaking of our 10-time national championship winning track team, women's track team, and our men's track team is also a very fine, high-quality team. We would hope to be able to, one of the activities that's being discussed is hosting a home track meet, a track meet right here in Reed Stadium. Boy, we would all love that to happen. But in closer proximity, on April 30th, we'd love to invite the community to come out and support our new football coach, Mike Jones, as he hosts his spring game at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on April 30th. And so we look forward to as many members in the community joining us there. And I want to take the time to tell you how delighted we were to have you here with us today. This has been really, I think, a very educational as we think about the role and mission of Lincoln University, a very educational and information-laden interaction, discussion we've had, and we're delighted that you were here.
Thank
Are
you.
there any other final things about the Chamber you'd like to say?
I would
about
just
30 seconds.
As far as where we're going with all of these action teams, July 31st is our deadline. We will all be making our recommendations to the steering committee, and then we will be prioritizing which projects we want to move forward. This is not going to be the end on July 31st. We are going to keep moving and making progress towards all these items that are being discussed right now. And so it is a very exciting time in Jefferson City.
It is, and I think it's very important that you mentioned this isn't the end. This is still the beginning, in the infant stages of what's going to happen, and I think it's very exciting for the community and will help this community to progress. So again, I thank you for being here, and look forward to all of those dates you mentioned and the continued rollout of this activity.
Thank you, Dr. Mahoney.
Thank you. I also want to thank all of our viewers for being with us today. And as per usual, please contact us if you have any questions or comments. We look forward to those and benefit from those all the time. But I'm afraid I must say goodbye now.